Thanks for staying with us. Last month, more than 1.9 million candidates took the computer-based examination to rank candidates seeking the admission to Nigeria tertiary institutions, according to the registrar of JAMB, Professor Oloyede. The 2024 UTME results, 76% results of the scored below 200. Now, as you know, the JAMB score is 400 max, and anything below 200, obviously, is below 50%. So are you saying that 76% of those who sat for JAMB scored below 200 on the JAMB? We'll be discussing this year's performance, what could be responsible for this abysmal outing, what is wrong with the education sector, and what is wrong with young people, if I may ask, or is it the parents in part? What are your thoughts on the results? I'll give you specifics now. I think I have some of the exact figures from a report that I got. I'll look for those numbers to tell you that I think it was about 4,000 or so. I'll get the numbers, but yeah, the point is 76% scored below 200, and that in itself is heartbreaking. What are your thoughts when you saw these reports? Who would like to go first? Nyma?
With JAMB, really, for me, based on experience, it is not a test for brilliance or intelligence as far as I'm concerned. It's an entrance exam, and some people have the skills, some people don't. So it's something that, you know, it's okay to try again at. But just this week, on Monday, I took a story concerning JAMB where even students who had over 3,300, who had scored above 300 JAMB mark in the exams within a period of time, who did not get admission. About 4,100 and something of them couldn't get placement in any institution in Nigeria. And that's the highest I have seen of JAMB. I think 200 used to be the norm, so you have between 200 and 300, and you're considered a merit, a good score. But when you have 300 above, a merit student, why would a merit case not have admission in any of the institutions? Because, you know, they still have to deal with post-UTME requirements. So some of these issues for me are administrative. They are not a test of any child's skill or brilliance or intelligence. That's personally how I see it.
I think for me, it's a combination of both, administrative, the systems, as well as, you know, the children and maybe also parenting and the educational system, really. The JAMB, as I understand it, is supposed to be a test of, you know, as you said, not of intelligence, but also it's to test the level of, you know, participation and then go into universities. It's sort of to also get data. Mm-hmm. Do you understand? And so, having said that, what I think is happening, this is also because I've heard from a few people that the introduction of the CBT, the computer-based test, has brought a lot of these problems as well. People are still trying to understand that. That's one. Secondly, we have the fact that even in the system of administration, there's lots of mistakes that are happening. Someone will get a message from JAMB saying your center is at this particular point. You go to write it, then you get another text message that same morning saying, so there are so many issues going on. And the combination of these issues is what is affecting the numbers. That's what I believe. There's also the part of children now on social media, whether we like it or not. A lot of our children are on social media. The time that we used to have, especially if you're a boarder, where you are supervised, you are, you know, you follow a timetable, a time schedule to study. If you're a day student, you are likely to be distracted. You know, during our time, we'll be distracted by just TV. But now here, they have social media 24/7. And it's not just with this level of education. I've even heard in my children's school, one of the PTA meetings, we had the headmistress say that parents, you need to sit up. Your children are distracted. They know so much about social media, and we're not seeing as much effort in their schoolwork. And so we would see that reflect in students at this level as well. So we need to encourage our children to understand what is important, to study harder, to put the distractions aside. Parenting as well, we need to be more vigilant with what our children are doing, what they are watching. And school has to be with timetables. teachers too need to be more vigilant. You know, this distraction is not just students. I see teachers as well. They are distracted. You have a teacher who is supposed to be taking a class or doing something, and they're also on their social media in between, you know. So all of us, in one way or the other, we have allowed social media to take away our attention, and it will show in many ways. It will show in our education. It will show in the sort of work that we do and how we carry out in our even our parenting. But I think with JAMB is a combination of both. This computer-based test we need to do better. The system of sending people messages has to be done better. The marking as well has to be more efficient. So those are the things I feel.
I thought that the computer-based, the error margin was supposed to be reduced. That's why we have a computer-based. So I'm surprised to hear that some of these things have issues. But what are your own thoughts?
Okay, but some of the students are not very conversant with computers. They don't know how to use these computers.
There are young people that are more conversant with computers. Is it old people that are more conversant with computers? I don't get
you have to be exposed to the computer now as a young person.
On the computer itself, so they need to know how to answer questions on the computer. I think our youth, they are already becoming discouraged with the system somehow. Because after writing JAMB, they still need to go and write post-UTME to enter the university. So most of them tend to concentrate on social media where they can make fast money. And they are beginning to forget about what will I use the result to do.
Right.
And most of the time, they're always like, oh, it's just something that I'll go in, spend 4 years and come out. I will not use the result to actually practice what I went to read in school.
We'll come to that in a second, Ramatu, because you're absolutely correct. The fact that even the mentality of a lot of young people are changing towards education.
Yes.
But going back to this, I don't want us to make excuses for these kids because they take phones and they're able to operate the phones. Yes, aside from texting and emailing, they can do so many other things with the phones, and yet you tell them they cannot answer. And the computer, I've seen one of those tests. They're really foolproof. They're like very basic. I mean, I've done some work with the Ministry of Education, and I have a sample of what it looks like. It's really, really easy. So I don't want to use that as an excuse that it's difficult for them to understand how to use these computer-based exams. Because let me give you the data of what we have, the results. It says about 0.5%, 8,401 scored about 300. 4.2%, about 77,000, scored above 250. 24%, which is about 39,000, scored above 200. Now, 76%, that's 1.4 million children, scored below 200. Now, we're saying that this 1.4 had issues with, maybe some of them had issues with the computer, some of them had issues with studying. What exactly? That's a huge number.
It's a contribution of plenty factors.
Yes.
One of them is the CBT.
Yes.
One constantly prevailing issue is the CBT system, the check-in system, the abuses that happen at JAMB centers, some of them. So let's leave the intelligence and preparedness of a child. We'll get there. It's important to talk about that. Or we cannot just absorb JAMB of any liability in this. I have reports. Several times I've registered someone for JAMB. This particular guy has an issue picking up his thumbprint. He will go to JAMB weeks before the exam. He'll be accused of funny intentions. He knows his thumbprint is an issue. He keeps coming. No, until the exam day, we will pay for JAMB. He won't be able to write the exam. We won't be able to follow up back to how his exam is done. If he finishes, if somebody allows him write an exam, he will still have issues. Now, for somebody who resumes a CBT center late, whose system is faulty, it is entirely his problem whether he passes the exam. JAMB does not have any liability on whether the system they have provided at their CBT centers that they have approved is faulty on the part of a person who paid for an exam and he couldn't fulfill his exams because of a fault on the centers. Yeah, so you will now find people coming out of exam centers dissatisfied, trying to reach out to JAMB, dissatisfied again because nobody is responding. And that person's results will come up maybe because he could only get maybe 10 minutes time on the system, but the system shut down before it was done. And JAMB will not take responsibility.
I hear you, Nyma.
So those are a collection of plenty issues.
I agree with you. I don't want us to make that front and center because the children too, they have their own faults.
You know that Miriam and Ramatu are here for that.
You must also give it the attention.
I'm here for JAMB.
You must also give it the attention it deserves because it's always easy to point the finger like, oh, it's JAMB that caused the problem. But the truth is that 1.4 million children cannot have this issue. You
are very correct.
So there's also a huge part because 80,000 didn't show up.
Yes.
64,000 were withheld, were results under investigation.
Can I talk about those not showing up?
There are different factors that could have caused that.
Plenty factors. But those not showing up could also mean when we buy JAMB form for somebody in Lagos here, and center turns out to be Wole Soyinka,
And it happens.
in Shagamu, how come? When we wrote JAMB, your JAMB center was at the place where you purchase. That was how we were sent to our centers. You could not be in Lagos and your CBT center is in outside Lagos. It's not possible. I don't know how it is now, but when Zainab wrote JAMB, when I bought her JAMB form, I had to find someone to follow her to Ijebu to go and write it from Lagos at the CBT center. So a lot of factors. JAMB needs to do something. I know. I cannot even fall JAMB. I am a fan of the DG of JAMB.
Yeah.
I love Professor Oloyede. I know his work. But I'm saying you cannot just wash JAMB's hands clean totally from this result issue. It cannot be, oh, all the children, all 80,000 of them chose not to pass their exams. What is JAMB doing to ensure that the system continues to get better every year?
Okay, so that's a question for JAMB.
It's important.
And definitely, you're right. So, as you said, there are multiple factors. Who's not going to deal with the factors of the children?
The children.
Yeah.
Making attention, because the truth is that, as Ramatu rightly said, the mentality of young people today is going back to review if education is actually necessary. For them, JAMB is too stressful a deal, it's too stressful a hurdle to pass the success. They don't even need it because some of them are already making money on the phones already in some of the secondary schools. So what are your own thoughts on what, I mean, I know you've already professed some solutions on what parents can begin to do to change the mindset, because many people don't think education is that important anymore.
I don't know if I totally agree with Ramatu, where she's saying that many of the children would rather be doing business. I don't know. Maybe I'm not, because I don't have children at that level yet. But at that level, I feel that many children are still. So we're talking of people who are teenagers about to go into university. So for me, a lot of them really just want to get into school. But for different reasons, of course. Of course, we know those who want to escape home and just be able to go into university. And then for many Nigerian students, the reason that they write the JAMB is because they want to, they want to move further in their education. And if they were making that much money, then maybe they will fall under those who did not show up. Because why would you go all the way if you're making money? I just think that it has to do, basically, I think mostly it has to do with our preparedness for exams. There is a problem with that. And, I'll just be reiterating, what I said, which is we're distracted mainly. Basically, that's all that's happening. And if we're distracted, the way that exams are, are set, you would not be prepared for it. You would fail. And I've seen these conversations like abroad when they talk about it, like the developed countries. They too are talking about their numbers falling as well. But with them, I feel that they try to step up the curriculum or their system to match the changing world. And I don't know if we are ready to do that, which is, do we do more video-based exams because our children are more attracted or, more visual these days? Are we willing to look at the way that the world is evolving right now and then set our exams in such a way that can capture a child's attention these days? I don't know. Or is it better to just stick to the way it is so that a child understands that you need to work for some things? You need to earn something, you need to work for it. It does not have to be easy. It does not have to be convenient. You have to do the work. So those are the things that we'll have to look at going forward. Concerning the systems, that's a major part. I know we don't want to give excuses, but that is also an important part. Our systems are just, we're trying every year, to do better. And there'll always be mistakes here and there. And the casualty definitely will be the students. So the JAMB has to take responsibility for for that part that it plays. But concerning studying, we just need to discuss with our children to do better. But can we compare with WAEC if they are doing worse or doing better?
Take this call from Atat from Port Harcourt, you're live. Thanks for calling. Hello? Hello, Atat, are you there? Okay, so I saw some reactions online saying that, just like Miriam said, excessive social media use, lack of motivation, even food insecurity has significant factors affecting poor children's performances. Depends on where you're from. So these are some of the factors as people are saying. Nyma.
So let me go back to now the students. There's an important part of preparing for exams that, our young people do not understand. Having mentored someone to write an exam, I used to, when I registered this girl, I left her to study. I would say, study, read your books, and I'll come back and say, don't worry, auntie, because her friends kept telling her there's an arrangement. So I said, that arrangement will fail you.
JAMB?
For waec.
Waec.
Waec. I kept saying, that arrangement will fail you. You cannot use that to go into an exam. I said, she went for the center. Fortunately, it failed her. She failed woefully, in fact. I was happy about it. And then I put her through how we used to prepare for exams. If I went home, I got my books, I sat with her, I would come back every evening and made her intentional about the exam. It was her first JAMB and she got admitted. She's graduated now.
Well done.
So it's the work that most people think. At that age, you listen to more of your peers than your parents. And so life must happen before you come back and say, Daddy and Mommy, what did you say? Then there's the part of parents who think it's possible to buy exam results for their children.
What are we teaching them?
Yes, what are we teaching? We see that it happens. We have magic centers, miracle centers, and all of those centers, which is why JAMB had to continue to improve security-wise to ensure that this does not affect their exams. But then there's a part of JAMB not even being.
Let me go on a very short break. When we come back, we continue with this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.